And thank you particularly for emphasising the power and the importance of trade unions. It is so good to see so many different unions represented here today, and showing the solidarity between us. That is the only way that we will win this. Demos like today, demos like tomorrow, demos like the one on the 7th of September in Glasgow, they're all super important, but what is equally as important is that we take this back to our workplaces, that we're putting in the motions and we're working out how we build on this more widely as well. So, I'd like to introduce our next speaker from the Scottish Socialist Party, Richie, Venton.
Friends and comrades, I think we should all look around and feel pride in the fact that such large numbers have turned out tonight to extend the hand of friendship instead of the fist of fascism towards people fleeing from wars, people fleeing from persecution, people who happen to have a brown or black face, or people who have lived in this community for decades and then are subjected to death threats, attacks, physical assaults and arson attacks when the country went up in flames in England in the last week or so. We stand in solidarity with those being persecuted by these fascist and racist thugs. It goes without saying we condemn those who perpetrated that violence in the race riots, but let's be clear, the bigger criminals still are the thugs in suits who incited those riots. The likes of Nigel Farage, who of course pretends to distance himself now when there's been a backlash against the violence, but incited it by questioning whether or not the police were covering up for terrorist attacks when those little girls were murdered in Southport. The likes of Tommy Robinson, really known as Stephen Yaxley Lennon, who from the safe distance of his hotel £400 a night in Cyprus is egging on people to attack Holiday Inn hotels, burning down places where migrants and others and asylum seekers are afraid of dying, of living, of being burnt alive. Those are the people who incited this violence from a safe distance. And it's also a fact, of course, as others have said, that for years politicians have incited the conditions that have led to this violence, with all their talk of stopping the boats. As far as I'm concerned, when not just Farage and not just the Tories, but the right-wing Labour leadership talk about stopping the boats, they should instead be stopping the very big boats with nuclear warheads on them that could wipe out the population of Scotland and beyond. That'd be a better priority than trying to scapegoat people who are fleeing wars, which quite often have been conducted by Britain themselves, including previous Labour governments like Tony Blair. That's where we should point the finger. As far as I'm concerned, people like Farage, Yaxley Lennon, Elon Musk and others of that ilk deserve to be jailed. But let's be clear, it's not the use of the courts, of the police by the new Labour government that is stopping the fascists and racist thugs on the streets. It's expressions of people's power coming into action like we're doing tonight. And we have to, as others have mentioned, we have to rely on our own strength as a united working class through the trade union movement in particular to stop these thugs and to counter them and all their propaganda. We have to make it clear, it's not migrants fleeing war that caused the financial crisis in 2008, it's billionaire bankers. It's not people fleeing war or people who have lived here for years but happen to be of a different colour to some of us who have caused the austerity of the last 15 years. It's the Tory government and the Labour government now hell-bent on making that political choice of imposing continued poverty. It's not ethnic minorities who have stopped winter fuel payments to pensioners or continue to block children getting benefits because there's at least 2 other siblings in the family. It's a Labour government that's propping up the rich instead of standing up for the working class. We must rely on our own strength as a working class united to combat that. And we must also rely on the power and strength and discipline of the trade union movement to protect people from physical attack by the race rioters. The discipline, the stewarding, the combined strength of the union movement in particular, I think is key to that. And I'm proud of the fact, as somebody comes originally from Northern Ireland, to say that whilst last week, with the grotesque spectacle of a handful of far-right, racist, loyalist thugs taking orders from a handful of far-right, racist thugs from Dublin, far-right ultranationalists in Belfast, attacking people, burning them out, smashing their shops and so on. But the response of the working class in Belfast is that there's been 3 union-led rallies in the last couple of days and another one tomorrow. Workers' unity is the key to fighting back. And I'll finish by saying this. Our task in combating the racists is to drain the swamp of despair, disillusionment and poverty that people, that the far right are tapping into amongst a section of the population. We need to counter it with another alternative. The rally on the 7th of September should go ahead regardless of whether we've chased the fascists off the street meantime. It should go ahead and declare a campaign for measures like a £15 minimum wage, decent pay for all, 100,000 new council houses for rent, investment in decent public services to provide a society of Scotland and ultimately a socialist Scotland which caters for all regardless of colour, creed or country of origin. Stand united for workers' unity and socialism.